The first time I fell in love was when I was 13. His name was Ilya and my Aya. Affection between us sparked immediately when we first met. As if at the click of a button, it was magical. The subtle similarities of our names showed that this was nothing else but fate, especially since we were in the same class. We both had dark hair, loved the same kind of pizza with chicken and mushrooms. We always sat at the same desk, went to each other's houses for special occasions, and told each other everything. We were so close that I felt like we had known each other for our whole lives. Because I really did know everything about him. I was his closest confidant and he was mine. One day when we were walking home, he asked me if I would date him. I was so happy to hear that and said yes, of course. But one problem was that I had to go out of town to my grandma's for the entire summer. He promised that he would wait for me, and when we both return to school, everything will get back to normal. Or will even be better. That day we had our first kiss. Awkward, but so exciting. I would remember it forever. I came home all happy and ecstatic. This was the best start to the summer. In not even 3 months, Ilya and I will be together, sitting at the same desk, but this time holding hands. This would be so romantic. At the grandma's, Ilya and I called and texted each other all the time. He would send me pictures of himself and I would do the same. I missed this person like crazy. I wanted to be back in my hometown as soon as possible. After a couple of months, I noticed that he was texting or replying to my messages less, and rarely even called me. I didn't want to wind myself up about it, so I decided to wait till I get back. And when the day finally came and I got back home, Ilya didn't even call me. I decided to surprise him and went to his house that same evening. He got frightened by my surprise. I threw myself onto him with hugs and kisses, but he quickly distanced himself and said that we were rushing things. Maybe we should give each other more time? It's just that I feel like this would be better for us since we have so much time ahead. There's nowhere to rush, he said. These words cut like blades through me. I felt like a fool who had been longing and waiting for him for 3 months. I was really offended. I simply said that I needed time to think and left. That evening, I shut myself up in my room and, nearly choking from tears, started cursing that time spent at the grandma's. My mother heard my cries. She came into my room and I opened up to her. Listen, if you really like him, then maybe you should wait a bit longer. You waited for 3 months, and I don't think that it would take him another 3 this time round. Just be by his side, she advised. I wiped away my tears and agreed with her. After all, I had actually waited more than 3 months. I've been in love with him for 3 years. The next day, I came to school, sat next to him, kissed him on the cheek as if nothing happened, and told him I was happy to see his face. Ilya was delighted. He told me I was the closest person to him and he didn't want to lose me. I was glad to hear this as well. But you know what? The more time I waited, the more our relationship started resembling what it was before. After a couple of months, I noticed that he started to avoid me. We haven't spent time together for a while, haven't eaten our pizza, haven't had those heart-to-heart chats, and then Ilya decided to sit at another desk and didn't even explain this. And what do you think happened next? His birthday was coming up. I knew that he'd been wanting those cool earphones, so I bought them, wrapped them up, and went over to his party. I was a bit late because I'd been choosing an outfit carefully. I decided that enough time has passed. It's been more than 3 months, and I wanted to clear up the confusion to remind him of our past. In the end, why wait longer? I was terribly uncomfortable with the idea that he was gradually disappearing from my life. I entered the house. Ilya greeted me with his stunning smile. I know he was happy to see me. I wanted to hug him so badly, but he barely even touched me and then playfully punched me on my shoulder and said, "The person closest to me finally arrived." I mean, it was nice to hear that, but at the same time, this all sounded kind of ambiguous. I kissed him on the cheek and gifted my present. We went straight to the dance floor, right when the slow music started playing. Ilya was a bit tipsy. He delicately hugged me, and to be honest, I nearly lost my breath. I wanted for him to hold me like that forever, and then I decided to tell him what needed to be said for a long time. "Ilya, it's been a while since you asked. I mean, maybe we could try again. Well, you get what I mean. You know that I love you, right?" I said, exhaling. I looked him in the eye and saw that this was all extremely awkward. Yes, his eyes told me that my feelings weren't mutual. Out of confusion, I began to beg him for some sort of recognition of my feelings, but he just said that he loved me the most, but as a friend. Oh God, was this a blow. For 5 years now, I'd lived in the friend zone, dreamed about this person, was always there for him, wanted to marry him, and when all this was so close to becoming a reality, I left. I looked him in the eye and felt like the ground was about to crumble out from under me. My heart pounding at my temples. I felt like I was being crushed into pieces. A sharp pain burned through my chest. "What is it, tears? Are you crying?" he asked. "Yes, damn it, I am crying. Crying because I have nothing else left. Because for the last 5 years, I've been waiting for you to look at me like you look at other girls. What happened last year then? You were the one who kissed me, I screamed at him. He stood motionless like a statue. The music in the room was quiet. We ended up at the center of attention. An awkward silence fell. I didn't even wipe my tears. I just pushed him and ran away. I have never felt worse than in those upcoming days. I not only lost my chance at love, but I also lost my best friend. The next day, I came to school devastated, with no desire to talk to him. Ilya tried to come up to me to talk, but I felt so horrible, so I didn't even let him near me. Then summer break started, and I went away to my grandma's again. There, I decided to start a new life. The change of scenery helped me to distract myself and recover. I even got a boyfriend and my first romantic relationship. It was short-lived, but still enjoyable. Ahead was the last school year with Ilya. I managed to work out my feelings, cool down, and keep my emotions under control. On the first day of school, I saw him. Oh, how handsome he was. He became even taller. He became even more attractive, muscled up, changed his hairstyle, and seemed to even be taller. I took a deep breath, said hi to him, and walked on. Then he ran up to me and offered to eat chicken and mushroom pizza after school. I refused, but he insisted, said it was important. Suddenly, the thought that he would ask me to date him again flashed through my mind. But I can't bear the pain for the second time. I looked into his eyes and I could not resist him, so I agreed. That evening we met for pizza. Ilya took my hand and I got shivers down my whole body. I felt tears coming in. I know how you feel about me, and I really want to explain the situation, Aya. I want you to know that I do love you so much, but only as a friend, he began. I rolled my eyes and asked him not to repeat those words ever again. No, wait. You are the most important person to me, and you should know that I'm gay. He blurted out. What? Gay? I screamed, surprised by the statement. So it turns out that I was friends with him all these years and didn't even know about his preferences? Why did I even fall in love with him in the first place? And why did he hide this? Ilya explained that in the period before he kissed me, he felt a weird longing for other boys, but tried to fight it because of his strict father. He decided to try dating a closest girl he could find, who was me. But nothing worked out. I realized I couldn't fight myself, and then I was finally convinced of this when I sat down at the same desk next to Sasha. Well, now you know who my love is, he said. Long story short, I was shocked for a long time after this. I felt sad and silly at the same time. I wasted 5 years of my life waiting for a relationship that couldn't even happen. Friendzone can last a while, guys. So my advice to someone in a similar position, it's best to clarify the situation as soon as possible. If you like this, please thumbs up the video and leave a comment.
I have never dated boys, and I have never regretted that. I had a big dream, and I worked hard to make it true. I was young when I realized that I could achieve my life goals using my mind only. So I spent all of my free time studying. I had a plan for the whole life. I knew which university I would graduate from, what my first job would be, how my career would evolve. My ultimate goal was to become a lady president. Catherine was my friend. She was always there to hear me out and support me in achievement of my goals. I felt grateful and tried to help her with her homework or in any other complicated things she had problems dealing with. She was hard-working and tried to do everything on her own. I was happy she could learn fast and that I was helpful, but sometimes she acted weird. After a few failed relationships with boys, Catherine was a little depressed. I did my best to support her, but study was always my priority. Maybe that's why I didn't notice how Catherine started to change. She tried to spend as much time with me as possible. Often took my hand, touched me. I felt it was wrong. I didn't know what to do during those moments, and it made me a bit uncomfortable. I searched for information online and learned that such things happen and that it was normal that another person did not feel the same. However, I couldn't make up my mind to discuss it with Catherine. Meanwhile, she began to make attempts to invite me to the cinema or the park. I noticed she looked at me differently, like the cat from Shrek cartoon. I made excuses, told her I had to study. Then I tried to limit the time we spent together. I thought that it would cool her down, and she might pay attention to boys again. Time went on, and I was going to talk to her to explain that we would stop seeing each other if she kept taking so much of my time, because my dream was the main thing I had in my life. I wanted to formulate the idea in such a way that it could sound better and hurt her less. Catherine was still my good friend. I made it a condition that a week later, I would talk to her. I had an idea on how to explain everything to her. I wanted to begin from a silly joke about a gingerbread man who hung himself. I thought it was funny, and it made me a little more confident. But a day before the date I was planning to talk to Catherine, I received a call from the school psychologist, Miss Nicole. I was worried a little when I knocked on the door of her room. Miss Nicole told me that the day before that Catherine visited her and told her everything about us. She said she couldn't understand what those feelings were and that it was difficult for her to resist them. Miss Nicole also told me that Catherine had an elder sister and that they were very close. Her elder sister used to help her a lot with the study and everything, and then she suddenly died. It was a shock for Catherine. She got depressed and had to work with a psychologist a lot to recover. Miss Nicole also mentioned that I was a catalyst and those feelings of sister love returned. Catherine might have not realized that it was true, and if I stopped being a friend to her, she could face that loss again. And helping her out of her new depression would be a lot more difficult. Miss Nicole offered me to help Catherine. She said I had to act like her sister, be kind to her, pay more attention to her, give her whatever she wanted and avoid any stress. And maybe, in a couple of years of therapy, she would be able to tear down those associations with Catherine's sister. I couldn't believe it. I lost my confidence again. I started thinking about what could happen if I followed Miss Nicole's advice. I was confused. On the one hand, I wanted to help Catherine, but the prospect of losing 2 years of my life was scary. Besides, I was planning to transfer to another school, a more prestigious one, with deeper learning of politics. I had made such great progress, and I couldn't lose it. What should I do? Follow my dream or help my friend? Please share your opinions. Have you ever made such a difficult choice?